Hello friend, and welcome back to my channel, Blue Nose Trading. My name is Tori Solis, and today I'm going to be working with Sandia red clay from New Mexico Clay. Shout out to my friend Lindsay who picked this clay up for me on her road trip through New Mexico. You are fabulous and I appreciate you. Sandia red is a red clay body produced in New Mexico Clay in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Sandia red is a semi-smooth red clay body that has sand added to it. In oxidation, this clay fires to a really wonderful brick red. The shrinkage on this clay is 16%, which in my comparative experience is pretty high. I actually did not account for the shrinkage of this clay enough for this project, which we'll see in the end. The raw clay has a very rich red color when wet, which is a nice way to say that it will stain everything it touches in your life. It's a messy clay. I myself am all about a messy, staining, iron-rich clay body, but I feel like everybody deserves a warning if you're not ready to bring this kind of mess into your studio. I found throwing this clay to be rather challenging personally. It was tough for me to lift this clay body to the desired height with my poles. The clay didn't feel particularly dense like a porcelain, but it felt like it wanted to sag and slump down. It just did not want to lift for me. This, on top of the 16% shrinkage, ended up making for mugs on the very small side. It also should be said that this clay absolutely must be dried as slowly as possible. I was a bit careless with my drying and I ended up losing every single bonsai pot I threw that was larger than 8 inches in the bisque fire and a few in the glaze. I'm going to assume these cracks were from drying, as they tended to run down the rim across the center of the bottom of the pot, sometimes cracking it in half entirely. I've never experienced this kind of cracking issue with any other clay body, so I'm going to assume that this clay body is just a little bit more sensitive than the ones I've worked with previously. This doesn't make this clay bad, it just means that it needs to be handled differently than any other body I've worked with so far. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough clay at my disposal to ultimately get to the bottom of it, and it was honestly so frustrating to lose so many pieces that I officially broke up with this clay while I was unloading the kiln. Maybe our paths will cross again someday, but for now, I'm not going to devote the time into figuring out what it wants. The hurt just ran too deep, guys. It's gonna take time for those wounds to heal. But don't let that stop you though. This clay is really beautiful and it has so much potential. Dry your work slowly and go forth with courage, my friend. Tag me in what you create, I'd love to see it. The sand in this clay adds a few extra steps to trimming. Where you trim is going to have a coarser texture than any parts you left untouched. So if you want consistency in texture, you're going to need to use your favorite tool for smoothing out the clay. I used a wooden compressor tool after wetting the trim section with a lightly damp sponge. You don't want the bottom soaking wet, just damp enough that the tool can smooth the clay with ease. The red rubber rib from Mud Tools is also a great tool for this job, but on this day, it was simply too far away from my wheel. I also use that tool a lot for sculpting. I should probably get a second one to live near my wheel someday. This clay was fairly simple and straightforward to glaze. It handled most glazes well, adding its own unique red body spin on them. I especially enjoyed how my turquoise glazes paired with the raw clay. For a clay body this gorgeous, it was definitely a given that a heavy amount of raw, unglazed body would be utilized in the designs. I always want to encourage you to make your own test tiles with your glazes and your kiln. Or don't, whatever. Sometimes I also like to live on the edge, as demonstrated by my reckless drying practices. New Mexico Clay has several very special clay bodies, and I'm hoping to work with many more in the future. As I'm editing this video, I'm starting work on a project with low-fire mica clay from New Mexico Clay. So if you'd like to see that video sometime in the distant future, be sure to subscribe to my channel, Blue Nose Trading. If you want to see that video in the not so distant but still sort of distant future, consider becoming a patron of my channel at patreon.com/bluenosetrading. Patrons get early access to all of my YouTube videos. As of posting this video to Patreon today, most of these pots are going to be part of the October 1st shop update. If you see something you like, just send me a message on Patreon and you can buy it pre-update. Not everything is going to be available. I've already pulled some of these bonsai pots from my retail collaborations, with a few of my favorites from the series heading over to Underhill Bonsai in Louisiana. My friend Lindsay, who picked up this clay for me, gets first pick of the mugs for her part in helping bring this series into creation. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, guys. I will have the series review for this collection up the Sunday following this video's release. Remember that you are important and you have really great ideas that are worth pursuing. Drink lots of water, and I will see y'all next week.